thank you once again for attending this press conference. I think the last time I had a press conference here, I was still the provincial chairman. I was still a member of parliament. So today I come, not being a provincial chairman, not being a member of parliament. I felt that it would be important at some point to be able to set the record straight. I think it has become a way of addressing through press conferences because of certain media houses that have not been factual in their reporting. So this certainly gives everybody an opportunity to also report as they hear it. Let me first of all concede to the fact that yes, we had a constitutional application which went before the Constitutional Court yesterday. The ruling was made, the application was dismissed. That is accepted, that's the highest court of the land. There's no recourse to having to appeal. So that's really water under the bridge. What is important is to understand why one would approach the courts. It's because you must test the system. You must test the Chief Justice. You must test the Deputy Chief Justice. You must test the Supreme Judges. That is the system working or not working. So it's now up to the public to judge whether the system is working or not working. So you've got to ultimately have that recourse. Yes, when the ruling has been made, we really don't want to go into that. What is imperative is the way forward. When one joins an organization, you have to look at the ideology and the principles and the values of the organization. Joining a political party is voluntary. It's not like you who has a contract, you're working with someone. You join it because you want to identify yourself with certain principles, with certain values, with certain policies. That's what drives you. And then you say, yes, I want to be part of this political party. When I joined ZANU-PF, I joined ZANU-PF because I believe it was a pro-black movement. If you look into my history, I was fighting white dominance in sport, particularly rugby and cricket. That's where I come from. And the organization that I thought politically would then pitch it to the level that would then make it a Zimbabwean, you have to associate yourself with a political party. The ZANU-PF was certainly the party that I thought was pro-black. That would want to see the advancement of black people in all quarters, be it sport, business, being advanced. So yes, I joined the party. But in joining the party, I also realized that the party has different individuals who lead it. The ZANU-PF that I joined 20 years ago is not the ZANU-PF of today. Its core values were derived from the liberation struggle, which we all accept and associate with, that we are where we are because of the struggle. The struggle was to emancipate the generality of Zimbabweans from an economic point of view, where the land reform was embarked, a great program. How it was done is a different thing altogether. We have to look at the program being great. The indigenization program, again, is a good program. But where then I then become an outcast in the party is that the programs are then manipulated by individuals, and corruption starts to raise head. While the program is noble, the implementation of it is now corrupt. The land reform itself, where you have the big guys having many farms. And I don't know why ZANU-PF politicians think that we don't understand that there is a term called warehousing, where you're the owner but your name does not exist. And people are quick to say, but I have one farm in my name. And legally, yes, it's probably difficult for you to then say, but there's that farm that is there that you are allegedly to also own. Yes, if you then go through the records, the person that we're talking about, his name does not exist. But you then have to then understand and look at the farming activities and then compare the individual's name and his capacity. So the land probe is serious. It's just not about, if I say, for example, Minister Chombo has got 10 farms. And the 10 farms, that's an example, the 10 farms is the Grange in Rafingora, that's in his name, that's over 2,000 hectares. There's X farm. The system must be able to take that and look at the farming activities vis-a-vis the person owning it. Muzukuru aripo akapiwa, asi mzukuru wacho kana olevu hana. Kasi pani matractor manyoa, bank account hana. So where is the source of funds? So this is the whole aspect that I talk about warehousing, that it is a system which most of them get away with. You know, but they must know that we know that, and the time will come when really we will get to the bottom of it at the end of the day. Indigenization is another policy which is supposed to be broad-based. But today, who is brainworks? George Maniere. Who is behind George? Kasukwere, Jonathan Moyo. Why? George Maniere sits on the Zimpapers board. Why? Who appoints people on the Zimpapers board? It's the professor. So where is the link? Where do they meet? Because they've got a company called Brainworks, which furthers their business interests. The LSL issue, hate or love Makamba, he created it with other players. It was from a broad-based point of view. Others failed to pay. But for some reason, we forget that others who were given the opportunity to pay failed to pay. And the other shareholders exercised their rights to buy the shares. But today, we then go and grab it. So there is a reversal in empowerment, a total reversal. The government policy right now is shifting towards contract farming with white farmers. The president is saying we don't need the West, but his ministers are dealing with the West. So there's inconsistency even in terms of where the party is going. We are we are indoctrinated to fight whites by the thing leadership. But the leadership is dining and wining with whites. Most of the ZANU-PF politicians who are successful in business are linked with whites at some point. Indigenization, there's also a reversal of that. Why am I saying this? I joined ZANU-PF because I believed it was pro-black. I joined ZANU-PF because it's a party that fought white supremacy. It's a party that fought black oppression. But today, what I joined, I don't see anymore. I've been very consistent. I've been very consistent. I've been in the party, I've been objective in the party. I've criticized the party on issues which I think help the party. Today I'm glad I didn't read the Herald story which says government forces companies to buy cars from the local industries. I bet you the Herald did not say Mliswa raised this issue up. But that's what I stood for. I believed in representing the populace, in driving the economy. Two issues which have failed: governance. There's no longer governance to talk about. And when governance is non-existence, then the whole plot is lost. The governance of Zim asset is no longer the blueprint document which we all must stick to. Law enforcement agents cannot even do their job because the moment that they want to exercise their constitutional obligations, they're told you are supporting Gamatos. So everybody is now scared. And I say this on behalf of many people in these offices, that they cannot operate anymore. You have young boys from the Youth League who have never embarked on any party program. Ask Gomwe what program is embarked on to ensure that the youth in Harare are moving. Where have you seen Gomo addressing or even verifying ZANU-PF structures in Harare at youth level? You see, a provincial chairman at youth level is responsible for keeping the youth moving. But before you do that, you must verify the structures of the youth. So right now, each executive has got 40 people. Each district executive has got 40 people. For example, Marsh West had 311 districts in the province. So the youth chairman, before he even does anything, must check, do those 40 exist in the districts? Tell me a restructuring program that Gomo ever did to ensure that the party is strong. An empowerment program that he ever did to mobilize members for the party because of the program that the party has come up with a manifesto which we all must stick to. These today are the young men who are calling the shots. These today are the young men who are holding ministers. If you look at what happened to Minister Koche, for example, I didn't join such a party where a senior member of the party, a minister, a political member, is being held up in a room, instigated by other members of the party. And we're saying that the youth is the vanguard of the party. And we're forgetting that the very same youth will come to haunt us one day. And where will it stop? Right now, we thought Congress had come, had gone. And people would put on their thinking caps and try and consolidate power. Even those who are not in power legitimately, you'd think that you must consolidate power. I remember being the chairman of Urungu as a DCC. How I got in is neither here or there, but I then said, guys, thanks for getting me in. I must make sure structures are there. And I must consolidate power. But there's no consolidation of power in terms of the party. You talk about two key positions in the party, secretariat and commissariat, which belong to two people who have never been to the struggle before, who are power hungry, who are equally vindictive. And it's just paging, paging, and paging. It's not stopping. I thought Comrade Chombo, when he visited Urungu West, forgot to introduce himself when properly. I wish I was chairman and I could have introduced to him, to the people properly, who Chombo is. But I think he forgets that people know who he is. American man. I'm challenging him. And I've said I don't like suing journalists. Because ultimately, you sue a journalist for saying Mliswa has been given American money. I'm able to justify every expenditure on every development in my constituency. Where the money has come from and what I bought. And I'd want to see a link, where does American money come from? But he forgot to say that he was the biggest thief in the country. He forgot to introduce himself that he has plundered the country's wealth mercilessly, without a conscience. His hair is white because of plundering the country's resources. There's no more black hair. And you think that a leadership like that can win the electorate? I'm talking about 2018. While some of you guys are given envelopes, thanks, that's good. But it's you alone. It's not the 5 million plus people who vote. The party must show an image or a picture of a future. Kasukwere, who plundered the youth money, who today is exporting elephants. The indigenization is in a mess, and I can say so because the president shifted him from that ministry. So he does not need a rocket scientist to understand why he's in the environment. If he was doing such a great job with that portfolio, why didn't he stay there? They've created companies that all they're doing. I mean, go and look at his house in Glenlawn. The last time I came here, I spoke about the party being hijacked by gay gangsters. I was correct. I was correct. Commissariat is Kasukuyere. The gay movement is a powerful movement which is power hungry, which is rich. It is extremely rich, and it likes power, it likes control. I would challenge Kasukuyere and Professor Moyo to prove to this nation the houses that they are building, the studio that Professor is building, where he got the money from. If it was a loan from the bank, what security did he put? How did he then get that security? It's simple. I've challenged them to do that. That's now mafia money, that's CIA money, that's gay money. I've said I'm prepared. I'm prepared to go with you in my constituency and tell you this school, the 40 bags of cement which I put there, came from here, came from there, came from there. I'm prepared to do that. I was taught one thing by my father. Remember that whatever you have, somebody will ask you one day, where did you get it from? We've asked for ministers to account for their wealth. There's nothing that is happening. Dr. Grace Mugabe was correct that the system is corrupt. Yes, she named Mayamjuru, but she maybe forgot, or the people who are also corrupt like Chombo and so forth thought they are also exonerated because they were not named. I mean, you cannot talk about corruption and not mention Chombo. You cannot talk about corruption and not mention Kasukwe. So did it have to stop with the vice president alone? You cannot talk about corruption and not mention Obet involved. But the people who are the most corrupt are now part of the structure. The case, I think lawyers are working on it. They've filed a lawsuit on the gay gangsters. I look forward to it. There is enough evidence to prove that they are truly gays. You cannot at all associate with gay people and say you are not yourself. There must be a compelling reason to say so. And by the way, I'm also entitled to my opinion. And an opinion can be the result of who you associate with. The evidence will be there. There are people who are coming forward in camera who shall speak. God gives a woman a gift and gives a man a gift. You cannot go for the other. And why, as a man, would you choose the other? So we will get to those issues, and I don't think that's an issue at all. But quite clearly, I have the utmost respect for the liberators of this country. I have no problem with Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa has a history. Mpoko has a history. Where is Chombo's history? Where is Kasukwere's history? Opa is a history, which you cannot dispute of the thing struggle. Chinamasa has no history. But these are guys, professor, his history and the struggle is well known. But they're the guys who are now running the party. And for me, it was a blessing in disguise that I was actually expelled. I would not associate with the gay movement at all. I wouldn't. I would not associate with a corrupt institution. I wouldn't. I would not associate with an institution which has no compassion. I wouldn't. So the expulsion is well received. I want to turn back to the issue of you know, I have a car which I bought as a company, and one of the boys who they use to lie to them. You know, nowadays, if you want to have access to any of these big guys, you must just tell them you have a story on a certain government office. They'll give you more access to their offices than you saying, I'd like to, what you call it. It's now become a nation which is so polarized with that you know. So these young boys have known how the system works. If they want to make money or want to have access, or we want to tell you how Gamatox this person is, so they're given access. I mean, you have a system where today, in Urunga West, a car that I belong, which was stolen, is being used to really campaign. And the constituency is asking, I mean, does ZANU-PF have to reduce itself to stealing a car from a company to campaign? And you take this issue to the authorities, but you've got Ziyambi, who's the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, who then authorizes the police to release that car. Abuse of power, obstructing the course of justice. But not only that, the wife is the National Director of Prosecutions. So he can arrest, she can prosecute. In their house, in their bedroom. And instructions are given to prosecutors to just release the car and not to even arrest anybody. And I say to myself, is this really how the party must operate, where somebody's car stolen is being used for party activities? And will the president ever get to know this? So it is retrogressing. You are empowered, but at the same time. On my farm issue, I've told them, I'm the most productive farmer. You can go there right now. There's 80 hectares of maize. There's 40 hectares of seed maize. There's have over 1,000 cattle. The farm is even too small at the end of the day. I say to them, if you want to get the farm, if you want to grab the farm, you can. I don't have an issue with it. The same way I told them, if you want to expel me from the party, you can. I never grew up on a farm in the first place. It was a government program to empower. And it was a government program for Zimbabweans. It was not for ZANU-PF people. Initiated by the liberation of this country. Who went to war? There was ZANLA, there was ZIPRA. And that's a reward. So to me, if we are now going to say that land belongs to ZANU-PF, then I'd rather be the first to really lose the farm, because I know everybody will follow. Because if you don't toe the line, you then lose the farm. So even the investment, how do you get the investment in the country from an agricultural point of view? There's uncertainty. There's no tenure. There's no tenure to the thing land. Anybody wakes up, a group of youths who want to be relevant, and they are losing relevance after Congress, but they always look for relevance. Then go and invade. I said to them, with pleasure. With pleasure. I'm one who can even surrender the farm tomorrow. I don't have to embarrass, so I don't need the country to humiliate itself over invading on a piece of land. I have a 99-year lease, but to me, it means nothing at the end of the day. I've always said that I'm one of the few people who's gone before the courts, tried, and I've been equally acquitted. How many politicians are prepared to go through that? That's the reason why I'm ripe for thing leadership, because I've gone before the courts. Others, I always laugh at them when I've been released from prison and say, you've got to make sure that those prisons you are in line with the current constitution, because when you guys go there as big as you are, you will not survive. You know, I said to Mr. Shamasa, you must put more money in prisons for some of your friends. The day that they're in there, you know, you must align yourself and have correctional services rather than a prison. And you're doing it for yourselves, really, you know. The decision of the courts, yes, you know, I hear the president when he says you must appeal, follow party procedure, and raise these issues with the party. But the party has a constitution. And when the party has presided over something which is unconstitutional, then it becomes a problem to then approach the very same party. Yes, you are expelled, you are not heard. There is no record whatsoever. I've just instructed my lawyers to write to ZANU-PF and say, is there a thing record of the disciplinary committee where I was, and see where we went wrong. But I was never invited to any disciplinary committee and so forth. So for us to say that, yes, we must go through the party and all that, it becomes a bit of a problem when, again, the constitution itself is not being adhered to. I'm going to stand as a member of parliament for there's an independent. I've already started the campaign. You don't have to belong to a party to represent people. You must have the people's interests. And I'm glad to say that the people of Urungwe West are people whose interests I have. My farm is in Urungwe Central, but I drive 160 kilometers to go to the furthest point. And it's not for money. It was to transform people's lives, to change their lives. And I don't have to belong to a party to transform people's lives. And I'm going to stand as an independent candidate. And I'll win resoundingly. Even if they rig, I'll still win. There are times when rigging doesn't even work. The people of Urungwe love me, even if they pass them. They wanted me to be in the central committee, all of them. So historically, they've always loved me for the work I do. They know I'm honest. They know that I work. So I'm not too worried about the thing rigging at the end of the day. I think what is important is that you see the cap I'm wearing. It says United. I support you, Manchester United, but Urungwe is united when it comes to that. Urungwe is a different constituency, and I think it's one that's going to send a clear message to the party. ZANU-PF forgets that Urungwe constituency turned it down in 2008. He didn't want anything to do with the party. He didn't want anything to do with the president. Despite the military being sent there, beating people up, they still voted MDC. How easily they forget. I turned it around individually with my own resources. There was no party to talk about. I convinced them why ZANU-PF was good. I convinced them why the president was good. In 2013, from votes of 2008, it was 4,100 to about 4,600, I'm not sure, but the difference was 500 in favor of MDC. So, it just shows that they don't have strategies. So, at any given time, the hardcore ZANU-PF supporters in Urungwe West are 4,000. There are 4,000 at any given time. Because those are the people who voted for ZANU-PF in 2008. To 2030, the opposition, including the independents, I think 3,500 is what they got. I got 8,000 plus. So we probably took 1,000 from the opposition, and the rest were sitting on the fence and were convinced. It has 24,000 people who vote in the voters' roll. But the last election, probably just over 12,000 people, if I'm not mistaken, the people who voted. So there are those who were waiting to see, who were sitting on the fence to see that, yes, this candidate that has been chosen, how good is he? And I'm glad to say that the constituency say to me, if there's anybody who's going to get 20,000 right now, is you, because we are united for the first time in Urungwe West over a candidate. And those 20,000 votes I will get. There are those sitting on the fence who've made a decision, who are neither ZANU-PF or MDC. but who are for the work of the member of parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just not had an opportunity to visit that constituency and appreciate the role that a member of parliament must play. I put it as the best constituency in the country at any given time, with the limited resources. It's not about resource. I don't know why they even rush to money. As a member of parliament, I spent a week, 2 days of the week in the constituency. On a Monday, I'm there. On a Friday, I'm there, without fail. If not, I'll then have to, if I've got some commitments, I'll still have to address that shortfall in some way. So in a week, I spent 2 days. So it was time with the people, time to understand their concerns, not about resource. How many members of parliament are spending 2 days a week with their people? Others have not even been there. So I'm very, very hopeful. But there are 2 things that I'm standing up for. Governance. There must be governance. And the economy. As a legislator, I will push for what I stood for, that the economy must be transformed. And in transforming the economy, clearly, that is the only answer that there is. The economy is not moving. The economy is not moving. And people need an answer. People need an answer. And the powers be have failed to produce the answer. 2018, there's going to be a grand coalition. It's not a painful split. MDC will be there. And the young boys, the youth of this country, are also quite interested in getting involved in politics at the end of the day. I don't see a single party dominating the elections. You can only enjoy a 2/3 majority if you're implementing your programs. If you're not implementing your programs, then people will ask when they're going to the ballot box that, what's the point of me putting an X? There's going to be a great coalition. And Urungo West will set the pace. Urungo West will set the pace. I think I have given you a lot about Urungo West. They've got their primaries today. I don't have to hold meetings in Urungo West. They've actually told me if money was gone on it, we're actually worried that if they see you here, they might even kill you. I'm in control of the structures. If I can win a provincial election in a process that I don't come from, how can I lose a constituency? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So I don't have meetings. I'm not going to gatherings. And I'm doing that because I want to protect the people. It's them who must have people. And I've equally told them, attend the meetings, be quiet, but the vote is secret. I'm not having rallies as much as I'm allowed to because I just don't want violence. I don't want the people to be purged. I don't want the people to be intimidated. And I'm in the constituency, I see them, I talk to them, I'm in communication with them. It is a system that's running. The thing on us is for them to prove why I must not be an MP, not for me to prove why I should be an MP. I'm past that. I'm past that. Most MPs, unfortunately, cannot do what I do because they don't work. They're on the way out. They're on the way out. And the majority of them were on the way out as unpaid anyway. They don't work, they're on the way out. Any constituency makes a decision in the first year whether to retain the MP or not. So most of these MPs that talk a lot and so forth, Chombo is a very good example. I mean, I could stand in Norton and win. He's hardly there, he's hardly done anything. He talks about economic zones every day. But economic zones when schools in your constituency are closing down because there's no Blair toilet. So who's that economic zone for when the education is suffering in your constituency? Urungwe West is a start of bigger things. I was the chairman of Marsh West. I was the commander of Marsh West in ZANU-PF. I know each constituency. I know who worked. I know who did not work. It's the party that chose to kick me out. It's not me who got myself out of the party. Jonathan Moy is a good example. I don't know why the Herald never writes about his comeback after he was an independent. In fact, to be honest with you, he probably regrets why he stood on the ZANU-PF ticket in the last election he lost. That's true. As an independent, he won. And then he stood on the ZANU-PF ticket and lost. And it's us who won constituencies, who empowered the president to then give him a job. Some Kange is an independent. He's their lawyer. He works with them. Kikereke, yes, there were problems here and there, but equally, is more of an independent. So, if there is any political party in Zimbabwe which has more independent candidates, it's ZANU-PF. I don't know of any independent party, any legislator in MDC. But ZANU-PF has. It has accommodated them because of the factional fights which are there. I have a lot of support from a lot of people in ZANU-PF who said, you must go for this. This has nothing to do with us. Your expulsion was because of Chombo and Ziambi. It's a Marsh West issue. But because it's taken to the PB now, Chombo is now the guru. So other gurus in the provinces don't want to fight the other guru because it's like a trade-off. It's only Opa, I think there are problems with Chitamas. I don't know who the guru is between the two, who they've decided to think fight. But really when a guru takes a position in a province, you don't argue that position. So no one would debate, no one would defend Tepavisa's agenda on the expulsion. It comes with Chombo's Secretary for Administration. He manages to put it on the agenda. It sails through, no one says anything. But that's not to say they agree with it. Gentlemen, I'm done. Any questions? Yes.
Honorable, I've got two questions for you. First question, can you tell us the reason why you were suspended or expelled from ZANU-PF? Do you know the reason why? Secondly, I stand to be corrected. I understand that Honorable Tasa is your uncle. Do you speak on his behalf? Does he say the same sentiment with you that you still as an independent, ZANU-PF is finished? What is the position?
First of all, if there's anything which I'd like to put on record today, is that there is no meeting ever held to oust the president. That was part of that amount. There was no meeting ever held to kill the president. I remember the reason why I was the spokesperson, I was always chosen as a spokesperson for the chairperson, is because I was the youngest. And yes, a story was built up that I would then stand at Congress and suggest, propose that the president must step down and so forth. You know, it was never investigated. It was, you know. So it is sad, and I say this with so much sadness, that if I look at the comrades who fought for this country who have been expelled, for me it's okay. I never went to this struggle. I'm a beneficiary of the struggle. What about those who went to the struggle? Who have been loyal to the president, Mvundura? Kaukonde, Mshore. I mean, Mshore trained Comrade Mujuru, and you kick him out. I mean, and he trained all these guys. And suddenly you just say you must go because you're part of this team that wants to kill the president. I always say that, why are we then walking in the streets if we wanted to kill the thing president? Can't there be some re-examination of that dishonesty? Yes, lies are faster than the truth. In terms of Comrade Dictas, he's my uncle. An uncle that I love dearly. You know, he's the brother to my grandmother on the maternal side. And people don't understand why I love him dearly, because my grandfather was from Mozambique, on my mother's side. But the Mtasas chose to give my grandmother land, my grandfather land, in St. Faith's in Lusaka. Same kwash. Wangani wa kwasha wanopiwa minda. Ananatera. Nemusha. Would I not be grateful to them? So understand that. Equally, he's a principled man. He's a straightforward man. Those who have worked with him, he has always been pro the president in many ways. Believe you me, there are times when people would go to him and say a lot against the president. But the moment that you did that, Mtasa, you definitely crossed what you call it. He's crossed paths with some members of his family who are not for the party, but are for the party. But he's for the party. So he's a principled man. He takes his position. You know, it would be totally naive, foolish of me to comment on a man who's been in the party, who's over 80 years old, for me to tell him anything about the party. The only thing I can do is listen to what he says. It would be stupid. I mean, this was the president's confidant. They were close with the president, and the president knows why they were close. But for me, for such a relationship, which was so good to just be destroyed by lies, it pains him. It pains him. He's been loyal. Manicaland used to accuse him of having sold out Kuma Zezuru. The same way Zenda would be accused of selling out Kuma Zezuru, because you're not representing the Karanga people. Comrade Mtasa was constantly attacked by the people of Manicaland, who today are in the echelons of power, saying that no. You told the line of Zezuru, you are not going the line Yema Manicaland. There's tribal politics in the ZANU-PF. It's quiet, it's undercurrent, but it's serious. It's serious. Don't. I mean, my vote of no confidence in Mashwest is purely tribal. I don't come from Mashwest, I come from the Midlands. So it's pretty clear that they sat down, I'm aware of that, and convinced the powers be that how can this province be run by somebody who's not. It's the only province in the whole country that had somebody who was not. But they also did not realize that most of the people in Mashwest are not from Mashwest. The majority of the people are from Karara, Manicaland, they're from Masringo, they're from Blawai. So it was a tribal decision which was forwarded and which was advanced by Chombo. But Chombo is not from Mashwest. Chombo is from Mausekwa, Chota. If you dig deep, it's from Mukaranga Futi. So most of this, if you trace that, they all, he says Mwenda Mberi, Mzukuru wana Gushungu. Nekuti Chirao, ndianga ni Mwenda Mberi ali Mzukuru. Saka iye anoenda, nekuti Chirao wanga ni Mzukuru ali Mwenda Mberi wana Gushungu. Iye nekuti Mwenda Mberi, hasi Mwenda Mberi wana Chirao. Kasi nekungwana kwake, kwa Amerika kwa akano dzita, anoba apinda kudiri Mzukuru. Nekuti ndiri Mwenda Mberi. Kasi hasi Mzukuru wana Gushungu, we Masri. Mtupo chete, mnoziya vanhu vanozo ngwara ngoti mtupo wawo wabeseri. Ndizvozvo chete. Bvunzai iwe kwazvo kuti mumuzukuru papi. He's not. So most of the people advancing these tribal games don't even come from there, but they're in the forefront of making other people, you know. Mangwana face the same thing, but I think a lot of things have happened that have, I think whether you like it or not, Mash West, for your own information, has got more Makarangas than anything else. You know, I love when they go intimidate Masabu West, but Wakawanda Wacho Makaranga. Yes.
As a young person, do you still believe that President Mugabe should lead this country into 2018 and beyond?
Listen, to me, this is where I don't understand the party. We support the party president because he was democratically elected. And when outside forces have wanted to remove him, Zimbabweans have stood by him because he was elected. Equally, the people of Virunga West stand by me because I've been elected. So when it is the president being defended, it's good. But people must understand the very same people who defend the president are also principled enough to defend who they've elected. You can now not shift when he's the president. No. I mean, I defend him honestly. I like the president. I'm one chairman who has met the president on so many occasions. I've had tea with him. You know, we've discussed issues about the party, not about people. He's implemented them. He's a great man to think meet. That's why I've always said I'd want to talk to him. For me, I don't know why he never then even said, okay, Mliswa, I want to see you. These are the stories I'm hearing. Can you tell me your side? I mean, I was a provincial chairman. I was a provincial chairman in his province. And for me, I always said, if I didn't want too many centers of power, I never went with anybody to see the president, for your own information. I used to see him myself.
So do you still think he should lead the country?
He was democratically elected. He was democratically elected. And he must lead the country. That is democracy. Painful, but it's democracy.
Do you have any ambitions to form your own political party or join any other political party in Tanzania?
That's a good question. You know, I'm young, and I think the future is for the young. The future is for the young. I think we've been let down by generations. Some of these guys are always laughing at them and say, you guys were never involved in politics. Look at it right now. You're supposed to be passing the baton stick to us. But you don't even have it. You know? They concentrated too much on business. Look at the generation I'm talking about, if you look at it. Our generation, they knew there's going to be a serious paradigm shift 2018. Wait and see. I don't say a legislator who's going to come in who's really under, who's doing over 50. No, our generation is going to make a statement. And it is starting with Virunga West. That's what I said. There's going to be a paradigm shift totally. Not a regime change, a paradigm shift. Which will usher a new era of politics. The Council of Elders must be over 60. Anybody who's over 60 must not be a member of Film Parliament. But it has to start with us. You know, the president must just wake up after elections and see 21-year-olds as members of parliament. Will he pick anybody else as a minister who's not a member of parliament? He has to deal with those. So I know the young boys, like I told you, there's going to be a grand coalition. And I think it makes sense if there was anything that would advocate for that, I would want to be in it. Because I'm an advocate of change. That I'll tell you. I like that. I like change. I want to fight for my generation. I want to fight for my generation. This fight is not about me. It's about our generation. And our generation has got more voters than any other generation. So if we're united, why can't we win? I would want to see a Chamisa. I like Chamisa. The Jesemanjome, despite they've got great brains, they're good for this country. One day sit down and shape the way forward for this country. Economically, with governance. Economically, with governance. There's no point economics, the governance. for now, like I say, it has to start with somebody. People are a bit shaken, wonder why. The real by-election is in Urungwe West. That's why it is. That's why for the first time Chombo is going there meeting 50 people. Where at a point where I meet 1,000 people, he meets 50 people. There were more cars at his meeting than people. Yet he invited the whole constituency. He controls the chiefs, the sabukus, and so forth. So if you see them resisting, 50 people, and you're fourth in the hierarchy in the party, it's never happened in a constituency. To me, he nearly lost his by-election. If it was not for the president who went to Chinoi and campaigned for him, he had lost. I remember saying that to the president the other day, when we were in good terms, that Chombo must thank Your Excellency. I even told him, Excellency, you have a very soft spot for Comrade Chombo. And I told him that and he laughed. I said, you have a very soft spot for him. He's a very forgiving man. And that is leadership. But Kasukwere and Chombo, they're vindictive. They cannot be leaders if they cannot forgive. I mean, these guys are in power because they've been forgiven. And they forget that. So yes, there's going to be a paradigm shift. 2018 is exciting. The electorate is disgruntled. The electorate is disgruntled. And for me, why you'd want to buy elections when the economy is like this? I mean, you want more money to go into elections than paying people, than paying the GMB farmer. So you would think priority. You are so power hungry that power must make people hungry. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. You know how much it costs for a by-election? I mean, the farmers who were given land have not even been paid by GMB. But we have money for elections. I mean, I asked Comrade Chinamasa as a member of parliament once. He was very emotional in Victoria. So I said, you don't have to be emotional, Comrade Chinamasa. You know, he has a tendency to be emotional. You know how Chinamasa is like. You know. He certainly wouldn't be my lawyer because I wouldn't want any emotional lawyer. But the issue is, I asked him a question, that how much does it cost to service a Range Rover? And how much is government spending on servicing Range Rovers? He gets up, you know, Mliswa, he has got this ability to whip people. And I said, that's not the point. Answer. You've got the money. A Range Rover tire is $400, $800. To serve it is $2,000. They're not even good off-road vehicles. I mean, I was going to Marsh West the other time when they called for a PCC when Kasukwere was introducing himself. It was sad. I saw 5 Range Rovers, one behind the other without number plates. And they were in one car. A Range Rover. 5! They turned there. I mean, what is that? What are you saying to the people? I mean, what are you saying to the people? 5 Range Rovers, and they like taking them without number plates. They now have got escort. I hear Chombo's got an extra escort. Now, that's more money, which is supposed to go to deal with economic issues. Small things like that. So when you now attack that, they need to be outside the system. But you're saying, I'm helping you. ZANU-PF, any ruling party, any big institution, must advocate for introspection, reflection, self-criticism, because that's the only thing that can make you move forward. This 2/3 means nothing if you're not able to then use it to advance people's needs and so forth. You know, Urungwe West, for example, they now want to come and do graders and so forth, and put in graders and so forth. And you know, people are so intelligent. I'm proud of our people. So you're now coming now, in 1980, from 1980 to because of Mliswa, you're coming. From 1980, their first MP was in Innocent Kara. He was their first MP. They never saw him. And now suddenly they want to put graders, do balls. They said, we like that. That's why we love Mliswa. Because if it was not for Mliswa, you would not have come. Yes?
Yeah, I wanted to ask the question. The opposition is calling for electoral reforms. Ain't you so afraid of electoral manipulation? Are you so confident of the electoral process that we have in the country?
You see, the electoral reforms...
that you are now in
no, I totally agree with you. That's something that we have to work on. But while you're working on, you can't stop. I don't believe in things stopping. I don't believe in stopping. I believe in advancing and moving forward. You see, stopping, you are allowing certain people to get away with things murder. The whole point of going to court was to test the system and for the system to understand that if you just kick people out, you will be challenged. And you see that not many MPs will be paid. Then I always save them anyway. I mean, they're supposed to pay for my legal fees, to be honest with you, because I really helped them. Most of them were being paid. They were going to be recalled left, right, and center. But right now, they're going to put it to a stop. No. I cannot be going to court every day. The president cannot be going to court every day when there are economic issues to deal with. So you then don't stop. The electoral reforms are necessary, but while the necessary reforms are being attended to, people must equally stand in those constituencies at the end of the day. If MDC decides it's not going to stand, for example, a good example is Noah Mangondo. He came second to Tendai Biti. It was a narrow victory, as you know. Why can't he stand? He said to be Gamma talks, you don't have to be, he just stands as independent. There's other people that were with him, and the MDC people who are not taking part in elections, who automatically vote him for him, they'll vote for him. You don't need to go to school for that. But you know how Msekiwa and Sakala got in? It was because they were just brave, not because people wanted them. And you see that happening. And when that happens without Kuplana, you then get the wrong people in, There's going to be a lot of planning needed. There are a lot of young people who are educated, who stand in these urban areas and so forth. And ZANU-PF has no stronghold in these areas. The economy is not pumping. I mean, where do they go? The only thing that they say at the rally is, Americans. Go now, economy ripapi. That cannot be your thing message throughout the country. It can't be your message. But the message of the opposition is clear. They failed to deliver. Vote for me. So strategically, whether you want to say MDC is not involved in something, when I read it, when I analyze, why be involved in a thing that has failed? Why should we one day be said, yeah, we also had your MPs who could not do anything? So you just hand it over to them because it's only 2-3 years. And what is it that they can do? The Chinese were hoping that they would come in and support. The Russians were hoping they would come in and support. But Russia economically is equally not strong. The Chinese will not release money without talking to the Americans. Whatever they're producing here ends up in America. That's a trillion dollar relationship, which cannot then be messed around by a little Zimbabwe. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry I could have missed it earlier. I'm not too sure if you can speak on behalf of your uncle. Is you so planning to run as an independent in Headlands? And also, now that you're running as an independent, could there be a possibility of realignment of democratic forces, those that were expelled from ZANU-PF and also the current opposition MDC? Is that a possibility?
Listen, to me, a by-election is actually a dangerous thing to have if you're not in control of the economy, because it's about the individual. It's not about the party. When you go for general elections, you've got the president, you've got the MP, you've got the councillor. So somebody, because they love the president, put the X on the president and the party, and they'll follow that. But here there is no president. It's the MP. What will this guy do for us? So they are now not swayed by the president's voting. They're swayed more by the the individual. And I think you shall see a lot of people being inspired, being motivated to stand as independents, because Urungwe West, like I say, we will set the thing tone for that easily. We'll set the tone for that easily. Yes, they've got the state apparatus. I've always said, you know, I speak to all security forces. I say hello to them, and I say, you know, the election in Urungwe West is the state versus Mliswa, not ZANU-PF. It's not a ZANU-PF election. ZANU-PF cannot mobilize people. It has no ability to mobilize people. That's why it has to go to the chiefs. That's why it has to go to the state apparatus to assist. It is the commissariat cannot. I can tell you that they can call for 5,000 people there at a rally. If I wanted to call another one, people will come to my rally and not to the rally. They've never, that has shown that they don't have a commissariat department which is strong, because they use other government organs to go and work for them. Chiefs, sabukus. But people are equally fed up of the chiefs because they think the chiefs are also corrupt in a way. Yes, as a chief you can drive a car. What about the village head? What about the people in that who are not eating? And yes, and there's a tendency that we know how ZANU-PF behaves. Like I'm telling you, yes, it will want to unleash terror, it will want to intimidate. The best is we don't go. For example, there's no t-shirt I'll print. Yes, they will be printed, but after we've won, those will be the presidents who give to them. But before that, no ways. We know it, we are in it, and we understand how it operates.
Is your uncle running as an independent?
I don't know.
Also realignment with Democratic Party?
No, listen, for me, what I know is that he's standing. I have not seen any statement to the contrary at the end of the day. And I think he received some good news the other day when the candidates went there and they were being introduced. They were getting 50, 60 people at centers. You know, when he used to be there, he'd be getting 500 people. So that says a lot. That certainly says a lot, because Commissioner Namas had been going around with people in the constituency at every district. Remember, the average size of a district is 1,000 people. So if you're getting 50 people, what does that say? So he got those reports from what I know. I don't know why the Herald didn't report that. Yes.
Honorable, you are talking of Zambia using intimidation tactics during the election period. And I think what you are saying is in line with what the FGC has over the years been saying, that Zambia is using such dirty tactics during the election time. So my question is, are you confirming those sentiments from the FGC?
But it's always been there. For me to win in Urungwe West, I told them there is no violence. That was the major message that I had. I said, you will not beat each other up. You guys are next door neighbors. You'll be influenced, people influence you to beat each other up. Who do you go to the next day? I said, no violence. No violence, and that they'll tell you. And people said, what? A ZANU-PF person coming and saying no violence. I said, no one will beat anybody and try and convince anybody by such ways. That's not how we go about things. And you cannot claim victory, because the very same system that you're using will turn against you one day. You see, you now understand why there are institutions like the thing Hague. Because leaders must account to such acts. The Taidzamara situation is foolish. I mean, how can you abduct somebody in this era? I mean, a hard body, we know Isuzu belongs to everybody knows who the cars the army drive, the cars CIO drives, the cars the police drive. So on that again, I listen, the Itai Zamara situation, I know Itai personally. He stood for what he believed in, and allow him to stand for it. Because the very same system that you are using will turn against you one day. You see, you now understand why there are institutions like the thing Hague. Because leaders must account to such acts. The Taidzamara situation is foolish. I mean, how can you abduct somebody in this era? I mean, a hard body, we know Isuzu belongs to everybody knows who the cars the army drive, the cars the police drive. So on that again, listen, the Itai Zamara situation, I know Itai personally. He stood for what he believed in, and allow him to stand for it. That's democracy. That is maturity. The president is in charge of AU, is in charge of SADC. And I believe you, what is going on, he doesn't even know. He's probably asked there that, you know that you have a situation where one of your journalists was abducted. Because he has nothing to do with it, but these are people who are actually out there to tarnish his name and the image of the country. Because as AU president and SADC, you must certainly lead by example, but your people must mature and desist from things which will tarnish his tenure of office. He cannot be known to be a leader who, during his tenure, there were abductions happening in his country and there was nothing happening. He has a legacy that he must leave behind. And I think people must assist in ensuring. I mean, that's sad. The family is there. The wife, the kids are there. I mean, you're destroying a family.
Are you saying the mother was abducted by a state agent?
Listen, that's what I read. That's what I read. And I mean, I thought those methods were long. I mean, they did that to Chiangwa sometime. They put him out there and so forth. During, Jim Kunaka. I mean, why even do that to Jim Kunaka? For me, the people say to me, no, I must have security, I must have this and that. And I'm like, come on. For me, I don't think I really worry about that. You know, I think if they have abducted me, I'll then be a hero. You know. Certainly, the tithes are an issue. We cannot be quiet about it. It's not good for the president. If we love the president and we respect the office that he holds, we cannot allow that to happen. It must come to an end. And people must behave themselves. They must be mature. Let's align ourselves with the new constitution, which people put in to ensure that there is democracy.
Who is likely to lead the coalition, the grand coalition that you talk about?
Listen, the great thing about it, there are a lot of people out there who have been in higher offices.
Examples?
You know, a grand coalition. I don't know the parties right now, but I told you ZANU-PF was split. That's pretty clear. I mean, ZANU-PF is split as it is anyway. It's just that the think president is a good politician. He's able to keep it together. But it is a split institution. It's split. And you see, and the problem is that it is not connected with the people. The danger of splitting is that you are not connected with the people. Most of the decisions that they make are not people-orientated. The one in Urungo West, for example, they actually regret, why did we do it? I mean, you see Kasukwere and Chombo losing weight like you've never seen before. They'll be going there up and down because Chombo has interest in it, because people are saying, you are the one who brought it. We are not going to work. So they now pass the buck to you. But you are the one who brought the issue up. Why should we work? It's March West anyway. Yes?
Yes, Comrade Mliswa, you seem to be really worried about the level of incompetence and corruption within ZANU-PF. When did you realize this decay?
I thought you have been very consistent. I've always attacked corruption in ZANU-PF. I did not really realize it because I've been expelled. I'm different. I had a certain mindset. And that mindset has never changed. I said Obed Mpofu was corrupt, he must justify his wealth. And up to now he hasn't. Equally, Chombo is also corrupt. He must also justify his wealth. I mean, if you look at even the houses that he shared with his wife in that divorce, how did you get that? He's a civil servant. You can't tell me his farming operations, I know them. You cannot make so much money. Obed Mpofu used to say, I have a lot of cattle and so forth. For him to amass such wealth, you must have 1 million cattle. 1 million cattle, because a cattle is worth 500. Best is 800 US. So how many cattle is it good to justify that I had a cattle business? I had a golden handshake from Trigger. What is the value of Trigger? Of the company? And people must then ask, when Jonathan was building a studio in Eastleigh, where did he get the money from? He's building a house. Kasukwa is building a house there. These are simple things that we must ask before we even go anywhere. Yes, I get paid $2,000 a month. I got a loan from this bank. Kasukwa was a driver for a PIO in Manigaland. That is history. He used to work for CIO as a driver. So everybody wants to actually hear the story how a driver rose to being a billionaire, because it is quite inspiring. It is quite inspiring. Because every driver would certainly would want to hear the story. You know, I mean, I also want, because it will certainly, my driver will probably leave his job today when he has really been told how he made his money. As a driver, it is actually quite inspiring. That's why I'm so keen to know how he made the money. Not for us to hear, no, it's because, that's why people say, no, it's because of this white man who was a homosexual in my Manicaland, who he used to know. That's why those stories come up now, because you're not able to then account for your thing well. I mean, I would like to know simple questions. Kasukwa, the house you are building in Glen with an elevator, 3-floored, over 50 bedrooms. He owes me 13,000 from my service station, which he did not pay his rent, which is there on thing record. But he's building a house like that. How did he make the money? How did money come into the country? Zimbra, I mean, Geshon Pasi is busy going for small boys. Why doesn't he go for these big boys? That's my challenge to Geshon Pasi. Go for these big boys who are building. Let's see where the money is coming from. Because the moment that you now say, I'm this rich, have you been paying tax? Because if you are a true leader, you must pay your thing tax. The other guys who are purporting to be rich, but Zimra is sitting on 4 million of what they owe. But because they've got political connections and so forth, it's just being put on hold. Any money you make as a business person, I would like to ask Obenpof or Kasukwa, how much money do you pay Zimra? Yes.
You spoke of some company and Keleke, as when they were independent, now they are backing Zambia. In the event that you win the by-election, are you going back to rejoin Zambia like what they did?
For me, to be honest with you, I'm not one who vacillates. Jonathan will vacillate. I don't vacillate. He has his agenda of being power hungry, of being the leader. I don't have that. My agenda is to represent people. And to be honest with you, I'm very sincere. I don't see myself back in ZANU-PF. I don't see myself back in ZANU-PF. The ideology and the core values are not what I stand for. So that is the truth of the matter. Yes. One more question, yes.
Do you have regrets that you were kicked out of ZANU-PF? Are you regretting?
No, I would not even regret that. I mean, listen, it was a blessing in disguise. When I was in ZANU-PF, even as a member of parliament, I tried to push for certain things to happen. There's nothing that ever happened. You know, I come from Lunga, never got fewer coupons. I'm still old. Sitting allowances, I'm old. I was using my own money. So absolutely no regret whatsoever. I believe it's a call from God, it's a blessing in disguise. There's got to be something different which has got to be advocated, and I believe that God is using Urungu and West to send a clear message to Zimbabwe that the electorate, especially to ZANU-PF, that the electorate is its own thinking, not that of yours. And that's what I'm saying, that's where the real election is. That's where the real election is. So absolutely no regrets at all. They have lost the plot, if I have to be honest. I think, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for this time, and see you in Urungu.